Welcome. We'll be doing a Yin practice today. If you're not familiar with Yin Yoga, keep an open mind. This is a different type of yoga. The whole class will be done on the mat. And actually, the sequence I put together today, the whole class will be done on our backs. So there'll be no seated poses, no standing poses in this class today. Yin practice, so we'll be holding the poses for an extended period of time. It can challenge your physical body. It can also challenge your patience. So we'll be working with the breath in a different way in Yin, just to try to help settle the mind, to try to focus your attention on your breath so that you can stay still in your pose. Stillness is a really big part of this class, so do your best. If you need to come out of a pose at any time, please do. Remember that ultimately you are the one responsible for your yoga practice. You are the only one who knows what you're feeling in your body. If something starts to not feel okay for you anymore, that's beyond discomfort, discomfort is okay, pain is not. So if something starts to feel like it's no longer safe for you or no longer a good position for you, just come out. It really is okay. Ultimately, or ideally, we want to hold for as long as possible in stillness. Unless that starts to become painful or unsafe, then you're not doing yourself any favor. So always listen to your body. Come on to your back, and we'll start with a breathing technique. If you have a folded towel or a blanket or a pillow nearby, go ahead and use that, and we'll use this just for the breath today. So in Yin, I don't really use any props other than sometimes we'll use a block such as this, or a folded towel or blanket. Today we're just going to use the towel or the blanket just to add a little bit of weight to the belly for this breathing technique. So it's not essential, you don't have to have one. You can even just grab a pillow off your bed or your couch or something just to add a little bit of extra weight onto the belly. And if you don't have that, it's okay. You can still work with this breath without having that extra weight on the belly. So onto your back. Legs can be straight or knees bent, whatever feels best for your body. If you have a folded towel or blanket or pillow, just lay it across the belly. If you don't have a towel or blanket or a weight, you can stack your hands on the belly. So the weight of your hands here can be used instead of a prop. So close your eyes. And just relax. Let your whole body relax. Just begin to settle into your breath for a moment. Notice how it feels to breathe. Notice the sensation of every inhale and every exhale. Just allow the breath to flow, but with awareness. Notice how it feels if you have a weight on the belly here. Notice how that feels. Now we'll start to deepen the breath. So as you inhale now, bring the breath deep into the lungs so you feel the expansion of the belly. So you're breathing into that weight that's on the belly. And exhaling all the way out. Inhale, bring the breath down deep, try to expand the belly. And exhale, so you're trying to move the weight, the pillow, the blanket, or your hands, whatever you have on the belly, breathe into that. Inhale, breathe deeply, bring the breath all the way down, expand the belly. Exhaling all the way out. Keep going with this. Inhale, deep breaths. Exhaling all the way out. So using the weight on the belly, we're having to breathe a little more deeply here. We're trying to move that weight with every inhale. Breathe into that. Whether it's your hands or a pillow, whatever it is, breathe into that weight. Continue a few more rounds. This breath can be quite calming, but it can also energize your physical body. We're bringing in more oxygen and more energy with every breath. After your next exhale, you can just take the weight off, slide it off to the side, relax. Allow your breath to return to its natural flow. Now, as you're breathing here, as you inhale, think breathe. As you exhale, think release. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. So every breath, letting go of a little more tension in the physical body, releasing a little more. And also letting go of anything that you don't need right here, right now. So that includes worries about the future, thoughts about the past, anything that's not serving you right here, right now, in this present moment. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. Feel your body becoming heavier on the floor with every breath. Every exhale, you're letting go of a little bit more tension. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. Keep going with inhale, breathe, exhale, release, and we'll come into our first yin pose. So bend your knees. And take your feet out wider than your hips, so your feet are out as wide as your mat. Drop your knees in toward each other. Let your hands come to rest on the belly. Close your eyes. And keep going. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. And relax. Set my timer. Just keep breathing. Relax. So a fairly simple pose for most people. When I talk in generalities like that, if that doesn't apply to you, there's nothing wrong with you. So generally speaking, this pose is quite a mild pose for most people, but not for everyone. Some people may feel this a little more intensely. This pose helps to open up into the lower back. So we have a little bit of an internal rotation of the legs when you're bringing the knees in toward each other, when your feet are out wider. So we're making more space into the lower back, into the sacrum and into the lumbar area. Really nice position if you have back issues. This can feel really nice. We're holding it as a yin pose today, so we'll be holding it for an extended period of time. But this pose can be done any time. If you just need to relax at the end of a busy day and you want to relax your back, if your back is bothering you, you can lay down and just do this pose for, you don't have to hold it for an extended period. You can do it just for a little bit of time just to help relax your back. And today we're using it as a yin pose. So holding for about 4 minutes. Generally when I teach yin, my hold times are 3 to 5 minutes. We're working with something right in the middle today, so most of these poses we'll be doing will be approximately 4-minute hold times. The longer you can stay still in a pose, the better, generally speaking. That's not true if it starts to hurt you or if you just don't feel okay in the pose anymore, then you're not doing yourself any favors by staying in the pose. But generally speaking, the longer you can stay in your pose in stillness, the better. Your connective tissues are what we're working with here in a yin practice. So we're not working with muscles, we're dealing with your dense, plasticky tissues of the body. That includes bones, ligaments, tendons, fascia, your joint structures. So these tissues are more dense, more plasticky. They don't stretch the way that muscles do. When muscles are warm, they like to stretch. They're quite elastic in nature. Your joint structures, your connective tissues, your yin tissues are not the same. They have to be treated a little bit differently. So we come into these poses, we relax our muscles, and then we stay still. We hold the pose in stillness for as long as possible so we can get this safe stress on our connective tissues. So stress, not a nice word. Many people don't really react too well to the word stress, but there are good types of stress. Distress is obviously not a good stress, but there is another type of stress called eustress. So it's EU stress. Eustress is a beneficial stress. It helps us to become stronger. And resistance training is a good example. So when you're working with weight training, you're adding more weight. You're actually stressing your muscles so that your muscles become stronger. So this is the same type of thing. We're putting a little bit of safe stress on our yin tissues to help them to become stronger, more flexible, nourished, increase our range of motion. Your immune system needs a little bit of safe stress as well in order for it to be strong. And even our minds, stress is not always a bad thing, so we have to have a little bit of adversity so we know how to handle adversity. Continue to breathe. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. If we didn't have any mental stress, if everything was just always smooth sailing and then something happened, we would have no idea how to handle that. So that everything makes us a little bit stronger in different ways. Of course, mental stress cannot be good if it consumes us and it starts to affect your physical body. It can impact your sympathetic nervous system, which is not a healthy state for your body to be in on a regular basis. So an overload of stress cannot be a good thing, obviously. But a little bit of stress can definitely make us stronger in a good way. Continue, inhale, breathe, exhale, release. And then we'll slowly come out of this pose. So just bring your feet back in so they're hip distance. And stay still for a moment with your knees bent, feet on the mat. And then just extend your legs one at a time. Stay still, relax. Allow your breath to return to normal. Notice what you feel. Notice your breath. Notice your body. In between, you can allow your breath to return to its natural flow, and then when we go to our next pose, we'll set up with the breathing technique once again. Right, bend your knees, feet to the mat, right knee into your chest. So a few different options for you here. You can stay right here with your left knee bent, left foot on the floor. You can extend your left leg along the floor. And if both of those feel like that's too much, bend your right left knee, bring your left foot back to the mat, and then hands can come to the back of your right thigh instead of around the shin. So find the position that's right for you, either with the left leg straight or bent. Hands are either around the shin or around the back of the thigh. If you need a little support for your head here, if you find your head's not very comfortable or your head is lifting a little bit, just slide that towel or blanket, if you have it, or pillow under your head just to give you a little bit of support. So relax and breathe. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. Keep going with that breath. Relax. So we're getting a little bit into the hip here, into the lower back, a little bit into the lower back, and also the digestive system. So if you have your knee in quite close and you have a little bit of compression of the belly there, you'll be breathing into that, breathing into your leg, and a little bit of a massage for the internal body. So lots of benefits to yoga that go far beyond the physical body. The internal body is affected, energy, breath, the mind, a lot of different benefits to practicing any type of yoga, yin or yang yoga. Try to stay still and keep breathing. I have my timer going. I'm not going to forget about you. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. Letting go of a little bit of tension, a little more tension with every exhale. So because we're working with different tissues here, this practice is done very differently than other types of yoga. Other forms of yoga, we're dealing more with muscles. We move our joints, of course. We put our joints through the range of motion, so it's about mobility as well. But it's muscle-based, whereas yin, we're dealing with connective tissue specifically, not muscles. Muscles relaxed. And breathe. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. Generally speaking, the longer you can stay still, the better. I think I mentioned that already. Unless it starts to hurt you, then it's not okay. Discomfort is good, but pain is not. And with practice, you start to notice, you start to be able to tell the difference between pain and discomfort. If you're ever not sure, just come out of a pose. Remember that you are the one that's responsible for your practice. You are the only one who knows what you're feeling. And you are the only one who will feel it if you do something that your body doesn't like and you end up hurting yourself. So always listen to your body. poses we're doing today are not too intense for most people. But again, keep in mind that it's not going to be the same experience for everyone. So if something may feel a little more intense for you, that's okay, unless it starts to feel unsafe. So with yin, as I mentioned, discomfort is a good thing. There's varying degrees of poses. Some will feel really good, some may feel really intense, some will be somewhere in between. So if you feel discomfort, that's okay. Just keep breathing. Try to breathe through that discomfort. If it starts to hurt, then make sure you come out. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. It's important that we work with the breath in some way in yin. If I didn't give you a technique to use with your breath, your mind would be all over the place, and then it would be really, really difficult to stay still. When your mind is not still, your body will start to fidget as well. So if we can still the mind, we can still the body. So let's come out of this one. So if your left leg is straight, bend your left knee first. Bring your left foot to the mat and then take your right foot to the mat. So both feet are on the mat, knees are bent. Relax for a moment here, take a few breaths. So I will be demoing each pose right at the beginning. If you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, then you can just have a look. Otherwise, try to keep your eyes closed through the duration if you can. When you're changing position, you can open your eyes, and then once you settle in, close your eyes once again. Left knee into your chest. Right leg can stay bent or extend your right leg along the floor. Let your legs relax, let your feet relax. And if you're struggling to hold this position, then just modify it. So take your hands to the back of your thigh or bend your right knee if you need to. So make sure the position that you're in is something you can relax into. Really important that you can relax and that you're not activating your muscles to try to keep you in that position. Obviously there will be some muscle activation in these positions or you wouldn't be able to hold it, but you want to be able to relax as much as possible. So if you feel it's straining your neck, if your head is lifting or your neck is arching or you're having to really work hard to keep your knee in, then make sure you modify your position so you can find something that you can relax into. When your muscles are activated, they're supporting your joints, stabilizing your joints, and then you can't get in there and target those connective tissues. So that's why it's important that we relax so that we can put safe stress on our connective tissues. Once we activate the muscles, then we can't get in there. We can't get our yin tissues targeted the way that we want to. So really important that you relax. And the longer you can stay still, without fidgeting, without moving, the better. So it's always better to take a little more time at the beginning of your pose to find your position, to find the position that's right for you. Take some time to adjust a little bit, to settle in, to find the right position, rather than rushing into it. That way you can find a position that's right and you can stay in it in stillness for a longer period of time. It's better to do that than to rush into your pose and then partway through realize that you're not really in the best position and you have to move. Then you start moving and then you've lost that yin stretch and you have to start all over again. So the longer you can stay still, the better. And the breath will help you. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Keep going with the breath. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. And as you're breathing like that, really release with every exhale. Let go of a little more tension, soften a little bit. Relax a little bit more. feel like you're doing a whole lot in a yin practice, we kind of have this Western mindset where we need to be sweating or exerting ourselves or working hard, and we're not doing any good for our bodies. And that's not true. This is a whole different type of practice. So your body works quite hard in yin, and you're also working quite hard to keep your attention focused on your breath and to keep your body still. So it's a different type of effort. The effort comes from finding the right position for you and then committing to staying still through the duration of that hold. Different type of effort, but there's a lot of benefits to a yin practice. Physical body, as I mentioned, we're targeting different tissues, your connective tissues, your joints. So we're working with strengthening joints and increasing the range of motion in your joints, nourishing the joints. We're also working with energy, optimizing energetic flow. All yoga is about energy. Yang yoga, we refer to prana. Prana moves through nadis or energy channels. Yin yoga, the terminology is different. Concept is similar. It's qi moving through meridians, so similar to acupuncture or Chinese medicine. But it's about energy, so optimizing energetic flow. So let's come out of this pose. Bend your right knee if it's straight. Bring your right foot back to the mat. Bring your left foot back to the mat. Stay with both knees bent for a moment. Relax. Allow your breath to return to normal. Extend your legs one at a time. Stay still. Notice. This is really important as well. In between the poses, we take time just to relax and to notice. Notice what you feel. Notice how your body feels. Feel the release of that pose. Some poses will give you much stronger sensations when you release them. Some poses not so much. But just notice and feel whatever is there. Bend your knees. So we'll come into reclining butterfly with the option for cactus arms. Reclining butterfly, bring the soles of your feet together and drop your knees open to the sides. Arms can just be wherever's comfortable, hands on the belly or out to the sides. If you'd like to come into cactus arms, extend your arms straight out from the shoulders and bend your elbows. So this position just opens up a little more into the chest and the shoulders. If you find this is not going to be okay for an extended period of time with both knees open, do the half version instead. So keep your right knee bent, extend your left leg, and drop just the right knee open to the side. So if you're doing the half version, you'll do each side for 2 minutes. I'll cue you when to change over. I'll set my timer for 2 minutes, and then I'll cue you to switch to the left if you're doing one side at a time. If you're in the full version with both knees out, you'll stay there for the full 4 minutes. So I'll set the timer for 2, and then I'll cue you if you're doing the half version to switch. If you're in the full version, you'll just stay there for the full 4 minutes. Relax and breathe. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. So if you find the full version too intense, there's a few options. You can do the half, as I mentioned, 2 minutes on each side. Or you can just stay in the full version for a little less time if you need to. So maybe just do the full version for 2 minutes and then relax for 2 minutes. So there's a couple different options available to you there. If you find it starts to get a little bit too much with the knees dropping open, that's something that goes beyond just discomfort, then just come out of the pose sooner if you need to and just relax. So no props here for this pose. We're not using anything to support the legs. We're just using gravity to help open up the hips. So your knees may start to move out a little bit further as you're holding. That's okay. Passive movement here is okay. Just try to avoid any activating of your muscles, so any muscle-based movement. Do your best to relax and just let gravity help you here with this one. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Let your hips relax. If you find it to be too much, just come out. Come out sooner if you need to. Discomfort is good, pain is not. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. Keep going. Breathe, release. Remember that everyone can practice yoga. Just make sure that you're doing your own practice. So modify as needed, either by using the half version, 2 minutes on each side, or just a shorter hold in the full version if you can't make it for the full 4-minute hold. breathe, exhale, release. Relax. So that's 2 minutes now on the right if you're doing the half version. So if you're in the half version, switch over, so the right leg will straighten, the left knee will bend and drop open. If you're in the full version, just stay still, stay as you are, and I'll set the timer for another 2 minutes. Relax and breathe. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Most of what we do in Yin targets the hips and lower back, areas that a lot of people have issues with at some point or another. Very beneficial practice for your physical body. Sometimes we get into the upper body a little bit. When I gave you the option here for cactus arms, that was just a way to open up through the chest and the shoulders. But generally we were more about the lower back and the hips in our Yin practice. And generally I go toward the 5-minute end hold time in my poses. If I'm doing something that's a little more intense or a little more young in nature, I might cut it back to 3 minutes. If I'm working with smaller joints like the toes or the wrists, the ankles, it would be a shorter hold as well. But most of the time I go more toward the 5-minute. 3 to 5 minutes is the range I generally work with, and I try to go toward the 5-minute whenever possible. Today we're doing the 4 minutes, so right in the middle. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. So this practice can challenge you physically, and it can also challenge your patience a lot, especially if you are always distracting yourself, electronics, phones, TVs, computers, whatever it may be. Some people find it really difficult to just sit and do nothing without distraction. If that's you, you're going to find that part of Yin to be challenging, at least initially. It does get better. Slowly come out, so bending or bring both knees up if you're in the full version, bring the left knee up if you're in the half version. Stay for a moment, and then extend both legs, and relax, and breathe. Notice how that feels. Notice anything, any sensations that you feel in your body after releasing that pose. Without judgment, no right or wrong. The only way you can do this incorrectly is if you do something that hurts. If it doesn't hurt you, then you're okay. The more you practice, the better able you are to find the optimal position where you're getting the most sensation, the most discomfort really in a pose, the most benefits to your Yin tissues. The poses we've just done, there's not a whole lot of room for adjustment. The reclining butterfly, there's not really much you can do with that. There's really not a lot of tweaking you can do. You can take it down into the half version, but there's not a lot of wiggle room in terms of alignment to make it more intense. So some poses though, there will be the opportunity to tweak the alignment a little bit so you can get a little bit deeper and find a different stretch and find a little bit of different sensation in the body. These are things that come with time and with practice. So bend your knees. Bring your feet together so the insides of your legs are touching, feet are on the mat. Take your arms open to the sides. Inhale here. On your exhale, take both knees to the left. If you'd like a little bit more here, you can bring your knees back up and cross your right knee over and then drop your knees to the left. If you find that's too much, just go back to having the knees side by side. So a lower twist, your left foot will be on your mat, possibly the right foot as well. The knees are below the level of your hips here. So get a nice twist for the lower back. If it starts to feel like it's too much for you, just come out. Just come to a neutral position and relax. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Twists are important. Twists are good for the health of your spine, of course, but also for your digestive system. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. Keep going, relax, keep breathing. focus your attention on your breath and your body. So you're not just staying with you're staying with the breath, but you're also noticing how your body feels in these poses, feeling the pose. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Many of us have lifestyles that are quite yang in nature, very busy, hectic lifestyles. So a yin practice can add some balance to that. Yin and yang coexist. Yin is the dark, feminine, cooler energy. Yang is the fiery, hot, solar energy. They're on a spectrum, so they coexist. Nothing is 100% yin or 100% yang, but many of us often are toward the yang end of the spectrum with our daily life. So adding a yin yoga practice can help you to add a little balance to that. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Breathing. Remember, you're free to come out anytime. You don't have to wait for the full duration of the pose. If you do come out sooner, just relax. Come to a neutral position and just breathe. There's so much more to yoga than the physical body. And even if you're on your mat with your eyes closed and focusing on your breath, you're still practicing yoga. So it is truly okay if you come out of the pose sooner. You know your body best. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Bring your knees back to center. So feet are on the mat, knees are bent. Just stay at center for a moment. Relax. Go to the other side. So if you crossed your knees, then we'll cross them the other way. The left knee will be crossed over. Otherwise, just keep your knees side by side. Knees drop over to the right. Make sure that your knees are low, so your right foot will still be on your mat. So try not to bring them up too high. That targets different areas of the back. We're working with a lower twist, so we're getting into the lower back here in particular. Lots of different twists we can do on our back, and they all do something a little bit different. So the technique is quite important when I'm trying to target a certain area of the back. So always pay attention to what you're doing and make sure that you're doing the same thing on both sides. Relax and breathe. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. It's important to remember that yoga is a lifelong journey. We never reach a point where we say we know it all or we're an expert at yoga. There's always more to learn. We can always go deeper. Even with yin, We have a limited number of poses with Yin, but there are still ways to deepen your practice. We can deepen our practice by being a little more still, breathing a little bit more deeply, focusing more on our breath, trying to relax a little bit more, staying in the pose a little bit longer. So there's lots of ways to go further, to go deeper in your practice. Even if you do the same poses, you can still find a way to do them a little bit more deeply. There's always room for improvement. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Always pay attention and notice. If you leave a pose early today, that's fine. But next time you practice this video, maybe you can stay a little bit longer in the pose. And just notice your journey. Generally, we progress and go further, but not always. Sometimes we have a setback. Sometimes we're just not quite feeling it. Sometimes we're just not there mentally, or we don't have the energy, or our body isn't cooperating. So there's lots of factors at play. So always be kind to yourself when you practice yoga and accept whatever your practice is without judgment or criticism. Just accept it, notice it, be aware. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Start to feel like coming out of a pose, that's when the real work begins in a pose. We have to determine why we want to come out. If it's your physical body telling you it's not happy, then absolutely, that's your cue to come out of a pose immediately. If it's your mind that's just a little bored or doesn't really want to be in the pose anymore, that's something you can breathe through. You can bring more attention to your breath and commit to stillness. If it's uncomfortable, again, you can try to commit to stillness and breathe through that. So if you're not in pain, try to commit to stay for another couple of breaths and just see what happens. It can make all the difference. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. And coming out of this twist, just bring your knees back up. Stay with your knees bent, so uncross your knees if they're crossed. Relax for a moment. Just extend your legs and stay still. Close your eyes. Let your breath just flow naturally. Notice whatever you feel. Notice the sensations in your body without judgment. Just notice what's there. Some poses will give you a really strong sensation when you release them, others not so much, but we still take the time to notice, to allow our bodies to kind of reset, to go back to a neutral position, and just to notice whatever is there. Let's do one last yin pose. So bend your knees, bring your feet to the mat. Take both knees into your chest. So holding on either to the shins or you can hold on behind the knees. If you find that your head and neck are not comfortable, use a pillow or a blanket or something under your head just to give you a little support. Close your eyes. Relax, breathe into your legs. So folded pose. We're getting back into the lower back here, hips, digestive system. This is a nice passive pose, so do your best to relax in this position. If you're having a hard time holding the position, then make sure that you modify it. You can take your feet down to the mat and just stay with knees bent. Or you can come back into sacrum release if that felt better for you, with the feet out wide and dropping the knees in. So make sure you're in a position that you can relax in. Not everybody can relax when they bring their knees into their chest, so make sure that you're able to relax. Another option is you can just come straight into Shavasana if this position is not a relaxing one for you. Great way to stretch the lower back though. It's not a super intense pose for most people, but you do get that nice little rounding into the lower back and relaxes the back. This position is also used quite frequently in Yang Yoga classes for the muscles, to release the muscles in the lower back. Sometimes we'll rock side to side. We don't do any movement though in Yin, so when we bring the knees in, we just stay still. There's no rocking or anything like that here. It's just a still pose, bringing the knees in, so we're getting that little bit of rounding into the back. And a little bit into the hips as well. So relax and breathe. Inhale, breathing in, exhale, release. No, was it inhale, breathe? Sorry, inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Just be appreciative of what your body does for you without criticism or judgment. As I mentioned, it's a practice. It's not a sport or a competition. It's a practice, a lifelong journey. And your practice is unique to you. It's not the same as anyone else's. So what works for you may not work for someone else. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. So the next time we do a yoga practice, we'll do some more seated poses, getting a little more into the hips. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, release. Keep going just a little bit longer. Breathe, release. Just stay in folded pose for another few breaths. Inhale, breathe, exhale, release. Slowly come out, bring your feet to the mat. Stay with your knees bent for a moment, feet on the mat, relax. And we'll come into final relaxation. So if you have a towel or a blanket or a pillow and you'd like to use it for this, go ahead. A couple of options here. Legs can be about hip distance apart in what we consider corpse pose, so the traditional Shavasana position. So you can be in this position if that feels okay. If you'd like something a little different, the legs can come even wider. The arms can go up, so you're taking up more space on the floor, kind of an X shape on the floor. If neither of those feel good, bend your knees if that feels better for your back. If you'd like to use your towel or your blanket here, just lay it across your midsection, so across the belly. And then close your eyes and relax. So now we're not using this weight to breathe into. We're using this just to help us settle and to ground into Shavasana. It's a nice calming technique here, just to lay this weight across the midsection and to relax. So close your eyes. Notice if you're holding tension in the physical body, let it go. And as you're breathing now, as you inhale, think let. As you exhale, think go. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Every breath, you're letting go of a little bit more. A little more tension in the physical body, a little more of whatever you don't need right here, right now, in this present moment. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Relax. To bring your attention back to your body and to your breath. Allow your breath to deepen. Take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Bring your breath all the way down deep into the lungs. Hold your breath for a moment. Exhaling also out the nose. Long, slow exhale. So nourishing breath. Inhale deeply. Bring your breath all the way down. Fill your lungs. Hold for a moment. Exhaling out the nose, long, slow breath out. And bring movement into your fingers and your toes. You can stretch if that feels good. When you're ready, roll to your right side, knees up towards your chest. Tuck your chin, round your back. Make your way up to seated. So sitting up tall, closing your eyes. Let your hands just rest on your knees. Allow your breath to flow naturally. Take a moment to notice how you feel after yoga. Not just your physical body, how do you feel? Together at your heart. Thank you for joining me for some Yin. Namaste.